So give their due to the relatives, the poor, and the traveler. That is best for those who desire the pleasure of Allah, and it is they who will be successful. Qur'an, Surah Ar-Rum, 30:38. Bismillah. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. There is a light that descends upon the heart when one gives, not from excess, not from what costs little, but from a place of love, from a place where the soul recognizes its purpose. There is a quiet beauty in a hand that stretches out to give, not because it must, but because it understands that everything it holds is only a trust. The verse you just heard, it is not simply a command, it is an invitation to be part of a divine flow, an invitation to let your heart resemble the mercy of the one who gives without measure. Give their due. Allah says, it is not charity. He speaks of here as something optional, like a coin thrown into a box to ease your guilt. It is a due, a right, something that belongs to them, something that was placed in your hands, not for you to hoard, but for you to deliver. And when you deliver what belongs to them, you do not lose. You rise, you are purified. You are drawn closer to the pleasure of your Lord. Think about it, my dear friend. The world is filled with people walking under the same sky, breathing the same air, but carrying burdens so different from yours. A widow who counts coins with trembling hands at night. A traveler lost between places with no door to knock on. A relative who hides their hunger behind a forced smile. Allah sees them all. Allah hears their whispered prayers, and sometimes He chooses you as the answer to their dua. When you give, you are not simply helping someone. You are stepping into a role that Allah has written for you with love. He has trusted you with His risk, His provision, so that through you, someone else may feel His mercy. The food you place in their hands, the warmth you bring to their hearts, the smile that appears on their faces, all of that is written for you. All of that carries light, and this light does not end in that moment. It follows you. It walks with you. It stands for you on the day when nothing else will. Give their due to the relatives, the poor, and the traveler. Notice how Allah begins with the relatives. He does not begin with the stranger. Why? Because the circle of mercy begins closest to you. It begins with your own blood, your own family, the ones you may have grown tired of, the ones you may have taken for granted. Sometimes the greatest act of charity is to show kindness to those who once hurt you, to reconnect where pride has built walls, to give not only wealth but warmth. It is easy to send something far away to someone you do not know. It is harder to knock on the door of someone whose silence wounded you and say, I am here. This is your right. My brother, my sister. In this verse, Allah calls us to rise above the narrowness of the self. The nafs loves to hold, to keep, to say this is mine. But the ruh, the soul, loves to flow, to give, to say, this belongs to Allah. Everything you have ever held, your home, your money, your time, even your breath, all of it was placed in your care for a short while. And in giving, you are returning it to the one who owns it. The poor, al-fakir, is not only the one without money. Sometimes the poor is the one with wealth but without hope. Sometimes the poor is the one sitting beside you with a heart that has grown tired, a soul that has grown cold. Giving, then, is not only with gold and silver. Giving can be a smile, a kind word, a hand that lifts another up. Giving can be sitting with someone who has been forgotten. Giving can be listening. Giving can be saying, you matter, to someone who thought they didn't. And the traveler, Ibn as-Sabil, is the one who has no place to rest. In our modern world, the traveler may not always be someone walking across the desert. Sometimes the traveler is the refugee who lost everything. Sometimes it is the soul in your city, carrying invisible suitcases of pain, searching for a place to belong. Sometimes it is you, yes. Sometimes you are the traveler, and Allah places a light in someone else's hands to reach you. When Allah says, that is best for those who desire the pleasure of Allah, He is describing a state of heart. There are those who give for reputation. There are those who give for reward. But then, there are those who give for His reader, His pleasure. They give quietly. They give with trembling hands. They give when no one is watching. They give because their hearts whisper, Ya Allah, accept this from me. And Allah loves those whispers. Success in this world is often painted with numbers, applause, and possessions. But in this verse, Allah redefines success. True falah, true success, is not in what you keep. It is in what you give for His sake. It is not in how much you own. It is in how much of your heart is free from ownership. It is not in how high you build your walls. It is in how wide you open your hands. I remember the words of Ibn Ata'Allah al-Iskandari. He said, "If you want the door of hope to open for you, then remember the generosity of the one whose door you knock on. When you give, you are simply imitating the one who never stops giving. You are drinking from his ocean of generosity and passing a cup to someone else." My dear companion on this journey, think of how Allah gives. He gives the breath before you ask. He gives the sunrise before you wake. He gives forgiveness before you return. If your Lord gives like this, how can your heart stay closed? How can your hands remain clenched? There is also something deeply healing in giving. Many people think they give to help others, but often Allah allows us to give to heal ourselves. A sad heart finds purpose when it brings joy to another. A lost soul finds direction when it becomes a shelter for someone else. The light you bring to another person's night often becomes the very light that guides you out of your own darkness. Reflect, my friend, on how the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, lived. He never turned away a hand that was stretched out to him. He would give even when he had nothing but a promise. He knew that the treasures of this world were only dust compared to what Allah holds. And when he gave, it was not to make himself look great. It was to remind others of how great their Lord is. Once, a man came to him asking for something. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, gave him whatever he had. And when the man walked away, he turned to his companions and said, "The upper hand is better than the lower hand." But do you know what is even deeper in this? It's not simply the act of giving that makes the upper hand. It's the heart behind it. The heart that trusts Allah so completely that it fears no poverty from generosity. There is a wisdom shared by Abdul Qadir Gilani. Give and do not count, for the one who counts for you is never mistaken. Subhanallah, what a reminder. We count coins, but Allah counts intentions. We count what leaves our hands, but Allah counts what grows in our souls. We think giving reduces us, but in reality, it expands us. And perhaps, as you listen to these words, something in your heart stirs. Perhaps you remember a time when someone gave to you, a moment when you felt seen, a moment when a door opened at the exact time you thought all doors were closed. That too was Allah. That too was His mercy flowing through someone else. And maybe now, you are the one meant to be the door for another. Giving is not always grand. It can be quiet, a few coins, a meal, a phone call to a relative you have avoided, a message to someone who has drifted away, a moment of forgiveness. Do not belittle what seems small, for Allah is the one who multiplies. What is a drop in your eyes can be an ocean in His scales. The verse ends with a promise, and it is they who will be successful. Not they who are rich, not they who are powerful, but they who give, they who desire His pleasure, they who understand that the journey to Jannah is not walked with full hands, but with open ones. My brother, my sister, perhaps this verse came to your ears tonight for a reason. Perhaps there is someone waiting for a kindness only you can give. Perhaps there is a family bond that needs mending, a traveler in your path, a heart in your circle that needs light. Do not wait. The opportunity to give is an invitation from Allah. When He opens the door of giving for you, it means He has chosen you to be honored with it. And giving, remember, is not a transaction. It is a meeting between hearts, a bridge between you and Allah. When your hand reaches out to another, it is actually reaching toward Him. When we look at the story of the early believers, we see this light shining so brightly. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq gave everything he owned for the sake of Allah. When asked what he left for his family, he said, "I left them Allah and His Messenger." This was not recklessness. This was certainty, a certainty that what is given for Allah's sake is never lost. And Allah honored him. His name is remembered not for what he kept, but for what he gave. And then there was Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him. He once brought half of his wealth to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, thinking he would finally surpass Abu Bakr. But then Abu Bakr came with everything. Umar smiled, not out of envy, but out of love for a heart that trusted Allah that much. and the Prophet's face lit with joy. Giving, my dear companion, brings light to faces. It is a language of the heart that angels understand. It is written in the unseen. This verse is not a distant instruction from a book that sits on a shelf. It is alive. It breathes. It is speaking to you now, whispering gently into your soul. Look around you. Who are your relatives that you have forgotten? Which hearts are waiting for a knock on their door? Which souls are wandering, hoping someone will stretch out a hand? Perhaps they have been praying in the night, whispering, Ya Allah, send me a way out. And perhaps you are that way. When you act upon this verse, you are not just doing good deeds. You are aligning your heart with the rhythm of divine mercy. You are moving with the current of rahmah that flows through the universe. You become a mirror that reflects a drop of Allah's generosity. And there is no beauty more radiant than a heart that reflects His light. But my dear friend, let us be honest with each other. Giving is not always easy. The nafs clings to what it loves. It whispers, what if you need it later? What if there isn't enough? Fear of scarcity lives in the chest like a cold stone. And yet, listen to the promise of Allah. Whatever you spend in the way of Allah, He will replace it. This is not a vague reassurance. It is a divine guarantee. The one who provided for you yesterday, the one who sustained you in ways you did not even notice, will not abandon you when you give for His sake. There is something almost paradoxical in this. The more you give, the richer you become. Not always in the currency of the world, but in the currency of the soul. Your heart grows lighter. Your dua gains wings. Your eyes begin to see beauty in places they once overlooked. Your tongue becomes soft with gratitude. This is the secret of those who desire the pleasure of Allah. They are never truly poor, even when their hands are empty. Reflect on the words of Imam al-Ghazali. The miser thinks he saves by withholding, but he only builds a prison for his soul. When you hold too tightly, your heart shrinks. When you give, your heart expands. And when your heart expands, the light of Allah finds more room to dwell within you. Giving is not always measured in dinars or dollars. Sometimes the most precious thing you can give is your time. To sit beside an elder who is lonely, to play with a child whose parents are exhausted, to listen to a friend without judging, to forgive someone who has wronged you. These are all acts of giving, and every act of giving, no matter how small, is written in the book that never forgets. And do you know what is so tender, so beautiful? Allah sees every tiny act. When a tear falls from your eye as you give in secret, He sees. When your hand trembles as you let go of something dear for His sake, He sees. When you choose to forgive, even though you could hold on to your pain, He sees. And what Allah sees, He never wastes. My brother, my sister, sometimes we give and no one thanks us. Sometimes we give and people forget. Sometimes people even hurt us after we give. And in those moments, the heart can grow bitter. But remember, you were not giving for them. You were giving for Him. Do not let the ingratitude of creation close the door to the mercy of the Creator. Every act of goodness rises. Every whisper of generosity is recorded. The one who counts does not forget. I want you to imagine something. Imagine standing on the day of judgment. The sun is close. The world is trembling. And then, in that terrifying moment, a shade falls upon you. You look, and you see faces you once helped. You see a hungry child who smiled because of your food. You see a traveler whose burden you lightened. You see a relative whose heart was mended by your forgiveness. And you realize every act of giving has been waiting for you, gathering light, gathering mercy, gathering shade for the day where nothing else can protect you. This is the secret of Fala, true success. It is not a house. It is not a title. It is not a number in a bank. It is standing before Allah with hands that gave, a heart that loved, and a soul that trusted. There is a story of Hassan al-Basri. Someone asked him, "Why do you give so much?" And he replied, "I am sending it forward to a place where I will need it most." This is the vision of the believer. We do not give to lose, we give to plant. And what we plant in this world, we will harvest in the hereafter. My dear friend, look at your hands. Look at what Allah has placed in them. Time, health, words, wealth, skills, a smile. Every one of these is a trust, amana, and every trust is also a door to His pleasure. You do not need to be rich to give. You only need a heart that remembers Him. I also want to speak softly to those who are listening and feel like they have nothing to give. My beloved companion, you are not empty. If you have a kind word, you have something to give. If you have a prayer, you have something to give. If you have a smile, you have something to give. If you have a heart that makes dua for others in the night, you are already among the generous. Allah does not look at the weight of what you give. He looks at the weight of your intention. The Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Guard yourselves against the fire, even with half a date." Do you hear the tenderness in this? Even half a date, that is enough to build a shield if it is given with a sincere heart. So never underestimate your light, never underestimate your hands. They may be small, but they are held by the one who is Al-Kareem, the most generous. As I reflect on this verse, I imagine hearts softening, walls falling, hands opening. I imagine brothers calling one another again, sisters mending what was broken, travelers finding warmth in strange lands, the poor finding dignity, the forgotten being remembered. I imagine mercy flowing like water, cooling the heat of this world's hardships. This is what happens when we act upon a single verse of the Qur'an, and perhaps in giving to others, we will finally learn to give something to ourselves, to forgive, to heal, to trust, to let go. Because giving is not just an action, it is a transformation. It turns the soul from a clenched fist into an open palm raised to the sky, whispering, "Ya Allah, everything is yours." Before we part, let me leave you with the words of Rumi. When you give from your soul, the universe grows richer. And when you give for the sake of Allah, your heart grows lighter, your path brighter, your akhirah nearer. So, my dear brother, my dear sister, my traveling companion on this path of light, if this reflection has touched something deep within you, know this. The verse we reflected on is not just about wealth. It is about becoming a vessel of mercy. It is about becoming a door that Allah uses to let His light enter someone's life. And what greater honor can there be than to be chosen as a means of His rahmah? Do not delay. Look around you, look within you and give. Give with sincerity. Give with trust. Give with love. Because when you give, you are not losing. You are coming closer to the pleasure of the one who owns everything. And if this reflection has lit even a small flame in your heart, my beloved friend, then know that you are not walking this path alone. We are travelers together, holding onto the rope of hope, walking towards the light of Allah. If you wish to continue this journey with us, to let this light grow stronger, then I invite you gently to stay connected. Subscribe to this channel. Walk with us. Because this light, this beautiful, soft, radiant light, it grows when we share it. May Allah fill your hands with blessings, your heart with softness, and your path with light. May your giving be a shield for you in this life and the next. May you be among those whom He describes in this verse. Those who desire His pleasure, those who will be successful. Wa assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.